Hello neighbor, this is Curt at eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Thule T2 Pro XTR bike rack on our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Now if you have any experience with this bike rack at all, we'd love for you to share in the comments below. We like to use those experiences to really help our other neighbors make the best decision for themselves. Now let's have a look at the bike rack. Now this bike carrier has a weight capacity of 60 pounds per bike. The rear wheel can slide and adjust to accommodate up to a 50.5-inch wheelbase, and these 18-inch ratcheting straps that'll go around the rear wheel can accommodate up to 5-inch wide tires. Now this is going to be secured to the rack on the front wheel by this arm here. This wouldn't be a frame mount, it would go over the wheel and lock down and attach from there. It does have an added security measure here that is going to be keyed to Thule's one-key system. And what you'll do is be able to take this cable, wrap it up and around through your fork, and lock it in right through there. So you get some added security of someone not being able to run off with your entire bike frame. Now the Jeep Grand Cherokee L has a pretty good sized lift gate. Luckily, this bike rack features a tilt that can be accessed by simply going through that handle and tilting it outward away from the vehicle. Now we should have some really good clearance to access our lift gate while we have bikes on the rack itself. So as you can see, we've got plenty of clearance here that'll allow you to access the back of the vehicle, use it to sit down, change shoes, anything like that, either before or after your bike ride. Now this rack, particularly on this vehicle, does sit a bit high up off of the ground. So you may have some concerns with visually how well you could see out of the back of the vehicle when you're backing up or trying to find a parking spot for it. As you can see, you are going to get some blockage of the rear window, of course. You may even have a bit of interference going through the rear view camera. But when you're on the road, depending on the wheels you have, you should have a pretty clear view of your turn signals and your brake lights, which makes it a bit easier for you. But because we're going to have limited visibility out of the back while we have this on, let's take a look at exactly how much space this is going to take up behind the vehicle itself. So from the furthest point of the bumper to the end of the rack, we are just a hair under 42 inches. So please keep that in mind as you're going into parking spaces or backing up anywhere. You're going to want to make adjustments for that extra 42 inches. Now we were also speaking of how high off the ground this sits. This sits high up off the ground that I'm really not having any concerns about it bottoming out anywhere, but keep in mind we are going to have to be lifting the bikes up in order to get them on this platform rack. And because it can accommodate up to 60 pounds, you really want to keep that in mind if you do have an e-bike or something like that you're going to need to lift up here. So from the base of the cradle to the ground, we're looking at 31.5, almost 32 inches of height off the ground. So if you're not very comfortable lifting your bike that high up, you may want to consider a rack that has a ramp feature that you can roll it up to get it this high. Now this bike rack weighs about 52 pounds. So it may not be something that you want to be taking out and reinstalling every time you're going out. There are going to be times where you want to take your vehicle out and not have the bikes with you. This rack does have a stowaway feature. It works the same way as the tilt feature by engaging this lever, this trigger here in the handle, and just simply tilting it upwards into the back of the vehicle itself. Once we have that set up, it's going to sit much closer to the vehicle, and we're not going to have nearly as much space being taken up in the back. So as you can see in the stowaway position, it is going to end up blocking some of the back of your vehicle. You're going to have clear vision through the rear view mirror, but your brake, reverse, turn signal lights, they're all going to have a little bit of blockage here, and your license plate is going to be almost completely blocked. When you're in the stowed position, though, you are going to take a considerable amount off of the back of the vehicle. because now we only have an additional 19 inches going off of the back of the vehicle, which is going to make this a little bit easier to maneuver than it would when the bikes are actually on it. Now, as far as it fits within our 2x2 inch hitch, there is this arm here that goes into the pinhole that actually helps tighten everything down. You can adjust the anti-rattle motion of it through here by turning this knob looser or tighter. This also acts as our anti-theft device, as it also has a key core here that can be locked in. So what we'll do is we'll start by loosening it up, disengage our pin, and we'll be able to pull it out of the hitch at this point. Now, you may have noticed when we were disengaging the bike rack from the hitch, this particular item that we have right here. This is the etrailer anti-rattle hitch collar. Now, while the bike rack does have a hitch pin, an anti-rattle hitch pin, most bike racks and most locking hitch pin, anti-rattle hitch pins actually limit side-to-side movement within the hitch. What this is going to do is limit that vertical motion as well. So you can really see a difference when this is not engaged at just how much vibration and how loose these can be when this is not on. And this is simply tightened and loosened right through here, through this knob underneath. What it'll do is move this metal piece down and clamp onto the shank of your bike rack and really hold it firmly in place so you don't get a lot of that extra noise. Now, I had mentioned that this rack weighs over 50 pounds, so it's probably not going to be something that you're going to be wanting to lift and carry around too much, other than when you're loading it and unloading it onto the back of the vehicle. Luckily, Thule actually thought about this, and they actually put some wheels at the bottom that you can grab by the handle and wheel to wherever your storage is. So there's a look at the Thule T2 Pro XTR on our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. I am Curt at eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.